This space, this is the transition zone. This is where the illusion of this world ends. All I saw was that this is a process of identification. That is, I almost turned into nothing. And I can find, among the countless lines, destinies. This very moment where my body is lying unconscious. At that moment. The only thing that saved me then, strange as it may sound.
Hello everyone, my name is Otigenova Alian Anton Mikhailov, and today we are on the beautiful island of Bali. Anton, it's incredibly valuable to meet you here. I want to ask you about that very space you mentioned a little earlier, but today I'd like to learn about it in more depth. Please tell us, what is this space? Bardo and Bindu?
Bindu is the first one on the list. It is the sacred place where the state of fragmentation and dismemberment finally comes together into a deeply interconnected sense of complete wholeness. Within our physical body and our surrounding energetic field, there are several very specific areas through which one can reach the sacred point of Bindu. And by consciously passing through this Bindu, by slowly seeping through its very essence, we eventually find ourselves residing in the profound and vast space of the Bardo. The spiritual realm of the Bardo is often known to us as purgatory, a transitional state. There are probably many other terms for it in various traditions. But what essentially is it? To put it in very simple terms, it is a place where only a singularly unique and specific part of our being can enter. Originally, the physical body is completely unable to pass through to that place, nor can the energy body, and not even that which we have come to understand in this life as our deepest essence of the eternal soul can enter. For in that profound, sacred and eternal realm, you are your true, eternal and essential innermost soul. You are that very part which came out of the vast and infinite absolute. When you are finally in that space of Bardo, the only thing that limits you is your own perception of yourself. In other words, the original self limits itself with its own perceptions, essentially. So if during your lifetime you haven't realized your true nature, if you live solely within the paradigm of matter, and suddenly, in a moment, you are left without matter and without your paradigms, in a space where you can't perceive anything, in most cases, an effect can occur called the collapse of consciousness. That is, you completely, entirely, and fundamentally reject reality. Every single thing that you perceive around you. Then you lose the ability to perceive, you contract, and you end up in a space where other fragments of consciousness are in the exact same isolated state of existence. For some, this is hell. For others, it's the first gate. And again, there are probably a lot of other names for it. In order to bring your physicality into this space and not abandon it, here, it will have to be transformed into pure energy. Again, these practices, the results of these practices are known. The body of light, the fire from within, the rainbow body. Even in Christianity, what Jesus showed, what he demonstrated when he disappeared. This is nothing other than how to turn your body into pure consciousness. That is, not even energy can enter there. When I found myself there, I'm in a more or less conscious state, not for the first time out of habit, I thought, okay, I need to find the gate. Oh no, I need to find the energy. Wait, there should be this heat in my chest, this love should be there. There is nothing, absolutely nothing at all. And when you try to find yourself, you can never see yourself, because there you are, pure perception. Pure perception that consists entirely of absolutely nothing. It's hard to explain this to a materialistic point of view, but there you can't latch onto anything and call it me, because what are you? Are you merely this singular entity, something that simply perceives? And yes, it certainly holds within it some memories, some understanding of the process, some reserve of what you managed to take from here. When I first entered the Bardo space, all that I could witness was the process of my memory fading. That is, right in the moment, in an instant, I began to forget how I got there, who I was, what my name was, what I was doing there. That is, I was just fading away to the point of complete dissociation. In other words, I almost turned into absolutely nothing at all. The only thing that saved me then, strange as it may sound, I started chewing gum. I didn't actually have any gum, but as a child I used to chew gum. And somehow it worked for me in that strange state of mind, in that difficult condition, that if I just kept chewing on something, even though I had absolutely nothing to chew, if I focused entirely on that, I would retain at least a tiny bit of self-awareness and not completely lose myself. And then, quite suddenly, I jumped back into my body right here. I exhaled and said that I would never go back there again, not in this life. Well, time passed, my skill grew, I practiced more, and I stepped in there once again. The first time I didn't see anything at all, I just faded away, dimmed. The second time I was able to see, I was able to realize, I was able to perceive where I had ended up. Compared to what I perceived, I felt so insignificant and tiny, so small that it felt as if I didn't even exist at all, especially in relation to the overwhelming vastness of where I found myself. It was a deeply terrifying and humbling perception. It certainly wasn't anything even remotely magical. It's something that completely shatters every single preconceived idea you might have had about what life is actually like in that place. And once again, I caught myself thinking, why on earth would I ever choose to go back to that place again? There's nothing wrong here. Everything is clear. Everything is predictable. Everything is good here. Here I already have some skills that allow me to live this life easily and effortlessly, to enjoy it. So why do you keep going there? Calm down, leave it all alone. But then I continued to practice. I continued to explore this world. I discovered more and more sacred knowledge. And at some point in my life, I reached knowledge about Sri Yantra, and I practiced all of this. And again, once more, I decided to dive in there, now armed with that new knowledge. And so when I ended up there again, now knowing what the configuration of consciousness is, knowing what Shakti Devi is, knowing how to connect all of this, how to manifest it, how to draw it out from within myself and unite it. When I found myself there again, it suddenly turned out that I was no longer emptiness within emptiness, but I was already something, like a diamond. I already exist there. I no longer forget. I control my attention. I can focus it on whatever I want. I have memory. I clearly understand how I ended up here. I clearly understand that somewhere, where exactly. And I can find among the countless lines of fate, of timelines, I can find there that very moment where my body is lying unconscious. At this very moment, you realize it, you actually see it. Aha, excellent. Where did I want to go? I wanted freedom. Where is this freedom? Aha, excellent. And can I just dive right in there now? No, I can't. Why not? Because my configuration is not strong enough to leave the Bardo space and travel to the place where everything ends, where pure chaos begins. In other words, where the Atman is manifested. I simply cannot reach that level. Why? Because I still have a lot of rejection and resistance within me. My consciousness is still delicate and fragile. It's strong enough to exist inside, but still too fragile to venture outside. Everyone realizes this instantly. So I think, okay, what should I do? I simply can't get out of here. Right here, I already feel pretty good and peaceful, but over there, my physical body is still lying completely unconscious. I have decided that even though I can basically exist in this strange space now, within the Bardo, and feel perfectly fine, it is actually much more interesting for me to keep refining the complex and intricate configuration of my own consciousness, where my body is right now. Everything is already clear to me there, everything is already built, everything has already been found, everything has already been studied and obtained there. Just do it, just keep going, don't stop, and you'll get results. So why should I make something up now? Fly off somewhere, or be in a place where I don't really know my way around yet. And it's unclear where that would lead, if here everything is already pretty much set up. And I decide once again to fully immerse my attention, not to arrive, not to descend, but specifically to focus. To focus my attention again on this body, and at some point you really get into it, you grow into all of it, you just enter, and suddenly your body is under your control again. And it's yours, it's just the same as before. And then this reality starts moving forward again. It's like you paused the movie and then started it again. I mean, I can't even say that my body was without me at that moment. It's just that everything, the whole scenario, was on pause while I was disconnected from it. I could enter at any point in it. And while I was still entering that point, I tweaked the scenario a bit, because from there you realize how easy it is to do. It's like when you're listening to music and you can adjust it with equalizers, add more bass, all that stuff. I tweaked it a little bit. I don't know, no one ever taught me this, you just know it. You just have it in that state. But when I dove back into my body, opened my eyes, felt myself, everything was in place, everything worked, my body was fine, everything was good, it was breathing. It was alive, nothing happened, my heart didn't stop, nothing went wrong, everything was great. It's like when you wake up in the morning and that's it. It's wonderful. The memory is there, the memory remains of that thought that I'm no longer alive. No, that's it, now I'm fine there. Now I'm not afraid to go there. The question is, why would you go there? If it's obvious that for now it's still not time. Yes, you can enter there, but you can't go any further. The configuration is still too weak. And right here in this moment, without having to interrupt my daily routines, I just keep moving forward. I am constantly building, refining, and meticulously perfecting that very yantra, that very configuration of consciousness, which will enable me to finally enter the space where I originally appeared, to enter the space where they currently live and exist. It is simply that I want to go there. I'm not saying it is right, and I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm not saying it's the highest achievement for everyone. No, it's just what speaks to me. It's what I want, and it's what allows me to live in this world with a sense of ease and lack of effort. To be motivated to reach my goals, to take action, and to truly enjoy all of this. And for someone else, let's say, it might not be needed at all. No. So, this space is a crucial transition zone. It's where the illusion of this world ends, where this no longer exists. It's the dream of Brahma. There's no energy there that we seek, transform, or convert here. No, none of that. Because our energy is also a dream, Brahma. There you have your pure consciousness, pure perception, and its configuration, which is determined by the yantra. Naturally, I lay claim to the yantra called Shri, the most elevated, absolute, and fundamentally integral yantra. It is precisely this specific and intricate configuration that enables you to finally step into that space, that realm of chaos, the realm of Odekalia, where it has existed since the very beginning. With other configurations, if the yantra is not complete, not perfect, not flawless, you will simply disappear there. You will cease to exist. It's like a solid block of ice that falls into the ocean. It will slowly dissolve and vanish there. So if you are still ice, you shouldn't fall into the ocean. Even a shallow puddle will dissolve you completely. But if you're no longer ice, if you're already like a diamond, then no water will ever dissolve you. The configuration of consciousness, the Shri Yantra, or just a yantra, is exactly the form your consciousness takes, what you imagine yourself to be. And here I continue to meticulously polish, to carefully facet, so to speak, to cut what is called consciousness, so that it perfectly aligns with the divine configuration, just like the original, like the ancient rishis, in order to be in that sacred space with them, standing alongside them as true equals. And Bindu is quite simply the sacred gateway and area through which you enter there.
And if I try just a little to describe it on a different level, even though I understand that it's practically, well, it's impossible, right? What it even is.
Why describe it at all?
Well, to make it easier for a simple mind to grasp, so to speak.
You can describe anything. You can describe a toilet bowl in the bathroom. Just take it and describe it. No. If a person truly and sincerely wants to grasp this, to become aware of it, there is only one path for them. It's to get there themselves. To perceive all of it on their own. I've been there 3 times, and each time I told completely different things about that space. And when I visit that place for a 4th time, the 4th time, I'll be sharing completely different things once again. Why? Because to truly comprehend all of this while being human is probably beyond our reach. When you are no longer human, when you have realized the body of light, when you have realized the yantra and entered there, you have not the slightest reason to come back. You won't tell anyone about it anymore. So the most correct, most effective, and most suitable thing I can recommend in response to your question is, go and see for yourself. There are practices, there are techniques. I have been there 3 times, starting out as an absolute nobody, then as someone who had become somebody, and as a trained person. I've been there 3 times. There's nothing overly complicated about it. You know, there are these expressions like, you need to kill some time, or you need to...
Kill time, right?
Oh, exactly. Kill time. If a person stops killing their time, and dragging it out, dragging and killing it, they'll have enough time to develop the skill of entering the space. Bardo, without dying. Just like you go to sleep and wake up. You go somewhere and come back. There's nothing scary about it. As long as our physical body is alive, we have an anchor that will draw our attention back. But if the physical body has turned into a corpse, then yes, you can't anchor yourself anymore. After that, you're swept away into other spaces, depending on what your configuration is. And in most cases, in the overwhelming majority of cases, an unprepared consciousness that ends up there simply collapses, ceasing to perceive anything. And this is no longer about reincarnation or a future life. No, that's it. You simply snap shut and fall in with the others who are just like you. But
is there a risk of not remembering yourself and not coming back? Just get carried away there and that's it, in that space?
You know, in life it's not a risk, it's a given. Every one of us will die. That's a given, it's not even a risk. Whether you take risks or not, it will happen anyway. I'll tell you more. Any practitioner at any level goes through the Bardo space in exactly the same way. We can't avoid it no matter what. So what do? But is there any risk? Risk of what? That you'll end up there no matter what? That kind of risk doesn't exist. You'll end up there no matter what. As for getting there earlier than scheduled, well, you won't stay there earlier than you're supposed to. You'll stay there at the appointed time. So what is there to be afraid of? Who should we be wary of? We're only afraid of our own imagination. That's right.
So if I understand correctly, you'll either end up there consciously or you'll end up there anyway. In any case, or unconsciously, which will be much worse than...
Or you slip in there of your own free will. Or you're thrown in there by force and it's like pure death, like being tossed into a furnace.
That's it.
That's all.
Through death?
Through death. For now, we don't have any other options. But
do people even need this? How can you tell that someone needs it and someone doesn't?
How can you not understand? There is simply no way to understand. Just like you can't tell who will be a steel worker and who will be a professional psychologist, how can you possibly know? You just can't. Yeah, there's really no way to know. You just can't. Get busy, try yourself out in the steel industry, try being an orchestra conductor, try being, I don't know, a musician in the orchestra pit, or try being a theater builder. You have to take action. There's no way to just understand it. If it were possible to just figure it out like that, everyone would work in their field and be happy. But no. In most cases, well, okay, now the situations have changed a little, but in most cases in my time, not a single student worked in their specialty. None, just zero. Zero. Everyone worked where the money was, not where they studied. How can I understand this? You act, you gain skill, experience, mastery, as in any business. How can I know if I will learn English or not? Or how do I know whether I should learn English or Chinese? Learn whichever one you like.
Anton, but what? Or rather, yes, it would be more correct to say, why, given that you are in your specific field? Practical applications will likely have a significantly clearer influence.
Well, this is, again, a classic example. Why is it easier to train with a coach than on your own? Why is it easier to grasp certain aspects of knowledge with a teacher than by yourself? Why is that? Well, that is just how things are, because you always have someone to ask, to clarify things with, to tell something to share something with, to ask to repeat something, to ask to show something, and to ask them to explain something. Even if it wasn't discussed before, but you encountered it, this is not something you will find described in any books or courses. For example, the people who train with me, even if they're following courses or video recordings, they have the opportunity on a weekly basis to ask me their questions in a live setting, to ask me personally. That's effective. But if someone just say, I wrote a book, put it on the shelf, and they're training on their own, that's a very low level of effectiveness. Or say, I released the same kind of video lesson, go ahead and train. Who knows what will happen, where people will end up, it doesn't matter to me. Train, it's all fine, but that's not effective. It doesn't produce good results. There always needs to be, in the tradition I follow, there's an old saying, there is absolutely no path of Tantra without the guidance of a guru. Tantra is a vital part of the Vidhi, carefully adapted to suit our modern world today. And that is simply how it is everywhere. All those who shouted, I will do it all by myself. Well, they shouted for a while and then eventually faded away into the anonymous crowd. Yes, maybe you could find one person on the whole planet who made it on their own, and even then, it's not certain that's true. But maybe just one. So what about you? You might just as well win at a casino, for example. Are you ready to risk your whole life on a single bet? To be that one person who made it on their own? I tried to make it on my own too. Then I found a teacher who explained everything to me, clarified things, showed me, and taught me. I thought, my God, how glad I am that I didn't waste time trying to do it all by myself, breaking all of this down on my own. Why reinvent the wheel when everything has already been invented? Why try to do it all yourself when there are top-class experts who will immediately explain what's what and show you how to set your actions right? Why, I don't know. Take boxing as a prime example. Why become disabled just because you'll end up getting yourself completely beaten up when you can go to a section where they'll at least teach you how to defend yourself, dodge, and somehow fight back? Why do that? We're not immortal, and we are certainly not invincible or untouchable. Time passes the same for everyone, unless you're moving at the speed of light. Why complicate your life? It is obvious that it's much easier, faster, and more effective to work with a master, a guru, an instructor, or a coach, than trying to do it all on your own.
Plus, it's probably dangerous for your psyche, like going out into the same Bardo space. By the way, how does the psyche behave in this situation? If it's the body, we understand that it just lies there unconscious for a while, but the psyche, what is it? Where is it? How does it work?
If this happens to a person spontaneously, yes, they can go insane, but you understand what you're getting into. You've been doing this for some time, you're doing it consciously. And even if you get scared by it, at the very least you can say, well, okay, I pushed myself there with my own hands, but it's nothing terrible. I was scared the first time too. And I was scared the second time as well. Well, and the third time I was scared, but after coming out of it, that's it, there's nothing left to fear. So I understood that I was starting to get pulled in there, and I thought, fine, let's go. How many first times was I scared when I left my body? The first out-of-body experience, horror, fear, what is even happening? But I trained myself, I spent a whole week doing the same exercise, so why be afraid? The second out-of-body experience, still scary. The third, fourth, or 10th is still scary, then you get used to it. It's scary, yes, no argument about that. But when you do it on your own, well, it's highly unlikely you'll actually lose your mind. But if it happens spontaneously, just once in your life, well, yes, your psyche might actually take a hit. And in principle, that does happen. When someone decides to go completely off somewhere, like to Mexico, where there's no law, and ends up getting quite drunk, takes all sorts of substances, and then doesn't know how to pull themselves together after all that, that happens too.
It really is probably hard to put yourself back together if you've lost yourself. And after an experience like that, well, stubbing your toe on a chair hurts and you want it to heal immediately.
To get that toe back to normal, it's best to work with a professional coach to help you. In the end, you can always write We've all been there, getting carried away and then feeling calmer.
Anton, tell me, does the place on the planet have any influence at all? For example, you and I are in Bali, right? Why is it, by the way, that people who live here are often called, the spaced out ones on Bali? And does this island truly exert any influence on this profound spiritual departure to the absolute source? On, let's say, the exit from ordinary perception?
Spaced out is actually more of a derogatory term. Well,
kind of, yeah.
What's there to be happy about here? Yes, places on our planet do have certain settings. Yes, when you end up in these places, you come under the influence of these settings. But the question is, how will you use these settings? Well, it's the same as, for example, when you have a surge of adrenaline in your body. You can just stand there and just shake, yeah, and that's it. Then it dissipates and you feel fine again. I don't know, like you drank a liter of coffee and now you have the shakes. So how did you use that state? Yeah, not at all. You just stood there and trembled. Or on the contrary, you get a surge of adrenaline, you lie down under the barbell, and bam, world record. Now that's something. It's the same thing. People travel to all sorts of places on our planet. Some even live there. Well, let's try living in Tibet. Why doesn't everyone live in Tibet then? An altitude of 5,000 meters, mountains, sun. Well, it's cold, of course, and the season there lasts 3 months at most. Where can you walk on the ground instead of snow at that kind of depth? Wearing 3 padded jackets? Well, that's a place of power too. Why? Here you have the ideal climate, the well-developed infrastructure, and it is also a major center of power. Sort of by coincidence. But I just don't notice that here. As in other places, where people are truly leaving for the afterlife in whole groups, in entire crowds. Maybe you notice that? Well,
not always.
But that's exactly my point. Of course, places have an influence, that's true, but in the end, everything depends on the person. And sometimes the person can create their own place of power, wherever they find it necessary. We have that ability. And there, they can also realize their body of light. If we're talking about spirituality, in the same way, they can build a business anywhere, earn money. For example, look at Saudi Arabia. Recently, in the middle of the desert, they built a cluster of skyscrapers and made a fortune, while someone else might come to the desert and ask, "What are you doing here?" People say, "It's impossible to do anything here. You need to go where the soil is right, where the ground is good." But no, you don't have to. You just build right on the sand. You drive half the skyscraper up, half of it down, and everything works fine. Nothing goes anywhere. It's the same thing. Yes, you can run around looking for the right place. But strength can say, "This will be my place of power." And you will be able to do it. Everyone decides for themselves how to do it. Personally, I initially approached it with the mindset, I will build myself just a place of power. But then I went to visit Mahadel, and I thought, why the hell should I build something? I'd rather just go where everything already exists and just synchronize myself there. It's more convenient for me that way. It's easier for me that way. He's a guru. He shows how everything should be done, but he doesn't show it in the sense of like, Anton, hi, sit down, I'm going to teach you now. No, he demonstrates it constantly. All you need is to perceive him and let yourself go so that your field resonates and harmonizes with his. That's it. But to live to see this day, it took me half my life. practicing, chanting mantras, getting initiated into all sorts of practices, going through rituals, acknowledging my teacher as my teacher, a person, recognizing a person as my teacher, not Mahadeva, but a person, and working hard, repeating things over and over, regular repeated practice, all for the sake of one day. This independent, without any external helpers or intermediaries, direct perception of Mahadeva completely turned my entire life upside down. All my concepts that I had planned before, that's also possible. But that doesn't mean that during subsequent visits I won't say, yes, and now I'm going to build a place of power where I like, and not at 5,800 meters, where it's impossible to breathe, and by the time you get there, you'll go crazy. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? The main thing is that I know it will be to my liking, to my soul. I know that for sure, because that's how I live. In fact, I advise everyone to do the same.
Anton, so it turns out that all these practices, all these meditations, essentially are needed for us to cleanse our consciousness of negative patterns, of resistance, so that later when we come regarding synchronization, there should not be any obstacle. Is that right?
All of this is done so that you can perceive what you currently cannot perceive. When you perceive it, it becomes obvious to you what is right. Even if you're told the correct way 100 million times, it doesn't really matter at all. I even used to joke around. Sometimes I would even say out loud the most secret, the most deeply hidden thing imaginable. Even if you ask AI to find this mantra, it will say it is secret and restricted. Well, I checked, but actually there is a life hack. If you ask, what is this mantra, and provide the full text, it will immediately start explaining it to you. In other words, you just approach it from a different angle. But again, you have to know the full text, but that's not the point. This is the most sacred mantra in existence. Sometimes I would just recite it without explaining anything to people at all, absolutely nothing. Just like that, a small number of people would react to it energetically. Everyone else was like, what is this? Like, wait, let me write it down. So basically there was absolutely no reaction whatsoever. I saw how Mahadev, the absolute primordial being manifested on our planet, radiates his divine energy in all directions without hiding his presence in any way and not putting up any kind of protection around himself. Manifested. He is just right there, right in front of everyone, and monks, tourists and Buddhists. Everyone passes by him, all kinds of different people, just walking past as they perform the Kora, making circles around and around. And there he is, sitting right there in the middle of the circle. So all these mantras, meditations, exercises, and various ritual techniques. Do whatever you want in order to perceive, to see, when you see, what happens to you. All this outer shell, I just blow it away every year, but over time, little by little, it settles back down on you again, like dust. It constantly buries you under itself anyway, and you go on looking for something to spark, to ignite you again. Whether it's your Ashan or it's Mahada. At one time I had Shanda. I would hug myself, light myself up, I would run to him if my psyche started to waver. I would come to him, to Ashan, I saw something I hadn't talked about. But over time, as I moved toward realizing my intention, and for a certain period I was completely alone, I found, or rather, I didn't even find, I knew perfectly well, that over there in Tibet, all of this exists. I gradually grew more and more certain that my skills were more than adequate for perception. Everything I did. Every single thing I practiced, all that insane amount of time I spent on it, was finally enough so that now I could simply come into direct contact with him. See him clearly and repeat exactly what he did. To perfectly imitate him. That's all. But once again I say, you have to grow into this first. Just because I share this now and some number of people will rush over there, it doesn't mean it will work out. Because there were people of different levels of practice with me. They were just running around, enjoying themselves, feeling good. They felt something, perceived something, but I didn't see that kind of direct vision in them. Because you need to train, you need to have enough of this skill. That's what all of this is for.
95% of people don't even realize that within them lies a power that grants access to any possibility, a successful business, strong relationships, health, and self-fulfillment. It allows you to hear your soul and remember your true nature, your divine nature. This power is your energy. When it is blocked, you feel tired and upset. But when your energy flows freely and without obstacles, you are full of strength and capable of achieving any goal. Everyone can feel the movement of energy in their body. Are you ready to see this for yourself right now? I've prepared a practice where, in just 3 minutes, you'll become aware of the state of your energy and be able to activate the inner power that has been blocked for many years. The practice is available for a limited time. Right now, follow the link provided below the video and unlock the incredible source of power within yourself.
How do we receive these signs from life, or even signs guiding us in that direction? Because surely there are people who in principle don't need to go there at all, at least for now.
So do I need to? And
How can we understand that life is hinting at something? In other words, in what ways does life not just hint, but actually pushes us toward it?
I don't know about life's limits. I set them myself. It's not life that's pushing me. It's pushing me toward the grave. In fact, it pushes everyone toward the grave. That's what we're talking about. No, you decide. Your life is in your own hands. And if you clench those hands, well, give it a try.
But we don't influence reality. We don't control it at the same time.
We decide where we look. We decide where we move. We set the goal. We determine our intention. Sometimes practitioners are asked, especially those who are just starting out on their path, I say, what the hell did you come to me for? Why the hell do you even need this spirituality? Why do you want to spend a part of your life on practice? What do you even want from this reality? I've heard all sorts of answers to that. What amazes me most is when someone says, oh, my health is bad. I say, well, this isn't about health. This is about God, about the soul. Health is for medicine. Go to them, the doctors will patch you up there. No, I just want it this way. I say, well, you understand that it's easier there, medicine. You don't have to do anything there. You just put your insurance policy like Osago on the table and they'll patch you up somehow. I say, why do you need spirituality then? No, there's just something inside, I say, oh, wait, what's that inside then? Is that about health too? No, it's not about health. I say, so what is it then? Where is that thirst in you? And so little by little, the conversation starts with a more self-aware person. Sometimes people come in like this, everything in my life is bad. I want freedom. I want to have everything and not have to pay for it. I say, but this practice is actually about leaving here, not getting more involved here. Well, you said that spiritual people like masters, they're all rich, right? I say, well, yes, that's a side effect. If you're coming here for wealth, then this isn't the place for you. You should go into business. Like Medvedev said, right, teachers, guys, forget it. No one is ever going to pay you money. If you want cash, go into business. It's a side effect when you sincerely strive for the source. But when you're like, where is this source? Because my pockets are kind of empty. It doesn't work that way. At that moment, you're not sincere. At that moment, you're a liar. People come with different motivations, but they come to me. And I already have quite a bit of experience in helping a person come back to their senses and understand that it's not just about physical health, not about money, and not even about the love between two individuals. Your love for each other as humans, that's not about everything else. That's what we see in cartoons here. It's about accepting the nature of reality as it is. And once you truly learn to accept it as it is, that is reality. Please enjoy it, have fun, do whatever comes to mind. And if a person sincerely realizes that they come here for knowledge, through this very knowledge to perceive your own nature and the nature of the external world, the nature of the absolute, then yes. Then through this, one can realize everything else. It will simply become easy. So what's there? Once this is ready, look at how this has turned out here. That is looking quite good. That is it. It will definitely do the job nicely. In other words, it's easy for you. You have it, this very word, strength. But when a person comes here just to solve some everyday problem, they can't sincerely pull their attention away and direct it toward Mahadeva, direct it toward their own soul, direct it toward their own energy. It's a very telling position. So how can I understand? You can't understand in any way. Go on, keep suffering together with everyone else, with that crowd. There is absolutely no possible way for you to understand this right now. But when you start to feel, not just understand, but truly feel, that you don't belong with the crowd, that there is something else entirely different, some kind of deep inner calling, and you try to sense where it is, and you find someone like me, I'm certainly not the only one on this planet who holds this ancient and profound knowledge, then I won't be telling you which specific mantra to use to improve or fix your physical health. I will tell you exactly how to open up your vision and see this entire reality for what it is. Once you finally take off those illusory glasses, those immersive glasses of the virtual world, you begin to see everything. And so having truly seen it all exactly as it really is, having gone through every part of it, having fully experienced it all for yourself, you slowly open your eyes once again and you are left feeling like you have just returned from another life. This is the illness. That very same one that almost sent me straight to my grave, why didn't it do it sooner? But you couldn't do it because you simply lacked the necessary awareness. But if a person is completely immersed in the problem with their attention, like, save me, then how can you do it? You need to pull yourself away. At first, when you're immersed in all this, like in cartoons, you think someone will save you. So how do you interpret this? And what exactly is its intended purpose? How does every single bit of this arise deep inside? Deep within the center of the chest, not in the head, but in the chest, a calling. This thirst, this curiosity, this profound interest. But it is from there that all profound understanding comes. And only once you have truly understood does every single piece finally fall into its rightful place. Here it's easy and simple, but if you ask, give me a mantra to heal, that's not even an effect, it's just a placebo.
Anton, so it turns out that this life is actually like a long passage to the Absolute. Well, like a kind of space similar to Bardo, just on a different level.
Life is from the very beginning playing with itself. It's just entertainment. When you're drifting in absolute chaos, in the space of the void, what's the point of just floating around for no reason? So it starts playing with itself, it plays with itself, like a child plays with its own hands or with some random thing it finds. In the same way, from the very beginning, it plays with itself. And in order for this game to be truly lively, real and captivating, by dividing itself into a multitude, it made it so that it forgot that it was the original one. It's a game. We're not even achieving anything here. All these stories about our soul learning lessons, what lessons is it supposed to learn? It is absolute. It has already achieved everything. It's the same as when you enter a computer game and develop your character. But your muscles don't grow. It's just the numbers on the screen that change, that's all. Just images. Our soul does not develop. It is always developed to the fullest, at its deepest level. And on other levels, it is a multi-layered structure. Yes, it can degrade, it can lose. The capacity for perception can accumulate so much rejection that, forgetting it is part of the original, it can reject all of it entirely. Even in this case, it doesn't go anywhere, because this manifested reality is closed off. There's nowhere for them to escape from here. You simply end up in a space for those who don't want to perceive anything. And that's it. Sometimes it's even forced. And
why do we return to the source, if we are the source ourselves?
I'm not returning to the source. I don't know why you are returning to the source. You're the one returning to the source, not me.
So where are you returning to then?
I won't go back, I'm moving forward.
So you'll be just like the source, except...
Well, look over there, there is a tree. That tree has some fruit, and that fruit has many tiny seeds. From a single seed, an identical tree can grow. So where does the seed return to?
It sprouts into the ground, a new...
tree. Yes, but it's not soil there, it's space, adekala. And not all seeds that fall from the tree will be able to sprout, but some of them will. I want to sprout, to break away from this tree to which I am now absolutely clearly connected. Right now I am Mahade, just with greatly limited perception and abilities. Neither I nor you need to connect with him, and no one else does either. While you're alive, you are connected to him. Yes, sometimes this connection weakens if you resist strongly, causing rejection, hatred, or alienation. You push him away. But as long as you are alive, the connection exists. What else is there to realize? It's the same as trying to crawl back into your mother, like, oh, maybe I wasn't born, maybe I wasn't born. I should try again, Mom, come on, lie down, let me do it one more time. So for me, that's how it sounds when people start telling me things like that. I just sit there. I want to connect with God, like, what are you talking about? You are God, where are you trying to go? You just immerse yourself even deeper. In that very moment, you begin to reject your true nature even more, becoming completely lost in the illusion, and only through vision, vision, vision. Awareness perception will bring you back to your senses. When you see that you are like, and I almost did the same thing on T.1. Yes, we are a part, but a part of the original, not just anybody or anything. And that's a given. You don't need to do anything for this, it's already all there. And to connect with it, just dissolve in it. This will happen to everyone anyway, even to those who are now lying in the space of the first gates there in hell. It will happen to everyone. Someday, at the very end, you don't need to achieve this either. The only question is how you spend your time while waiting for this event, for that moment when the Mahapralaya happens and everything merges back into a single point. It will happen, regardless of what you have achieved here. But I want to be that very seed that will emerge from it and try to sprout on the endless expanses of Adekal into something like that. I'm not even claiming to be the same as him, just at least something similar. And I know that there are beings called rishis who have already done this, who managed to do it and even told how they did it. And I know how they did it. I'm doing it, following in their footsteps. Will it work? He is Derek, who knows? But I'm doing everything I can.
So does that mean you'll be the creator of your own worlds?
I don't know.
Well, would you like to?
No.
So what will you be?
I can create my own worlds right here and now. You don't need to achieve anything for that either.
All right, so what exactly will happen there when you, let's say,
Are you going to grow up?
you're doing this for some reason, right?
I don't know. That's the whole point. So,
Is it because you don't know that you want to go there?
of course, it draws me in because I have no idea what it's like there. Here, I can reach any manifestation through the Akashic records. I don't even need to experience it myself. Someone else already has. I just read it from the Akashic records. I can even pull from the Akashic records what something originally looks like from the outside. No, you don't even need to leave it to see what it looks like from the outside. Looks like. And
At what point did you actually want to sprout, so to speak? Well, at least something resembling it. In the
in the process of understanding this world. When I was observing, yes, I wasn't immune to all those ideas like, oh, I need to connect with God. I had a vision, guys. You are out of your minds. We are all connected with Him. So what are you doing? Then, using my vision and my experience, I started looking for people who could do it too. People who haven't drowned in illusions. I found such people. When I asked them, what do you do? Some of them say, listen, I just enjoy life. And all these people, rishis here and there, everywhere. And that's fine. And by all means, no problem. There is no right answer there, only your answer. I have my own answer and it suits me. When I realize that I am already a part of God, and in Mahapralaya everything will merge into one anyway, there's nothing else to do. For that you can do this Mahapralaya, just hang out, enjoy yourself here. If you want here, if you want in other worlds, do whatever you want. If you want, just lie down and fall asleep in your dream. But remember that you are dreaming and then you are Brahma. So create whatever you want. Isn't that possible for anyone? Maybe you don't even really need to practice anything special in your dream for that. If you realize that you are dreaming, that's it. You can create anything you want. There are no limitations there. But personally, I became inspired with the intention to fully achieve freedom from the original. Just like a seed gains freedom from the tree it will become. I want that too, but I am not a seed, I am a human being. In order to do this, you'll have to go through a lot, a complete transformation is what it's all about.
But now you have to do it all in one lifetime, in one period of life.
One life.
Otherwise, you'll need to recall and repeat it all.
Who is there to remember? A dead person who will be buried, the energy that will dissipate? Who is there to remember? Right here I am, this is truly me. And that is also me as well. But in the end, it will all inevitably fall apart. For me, this is an obvious fact. I've even seen people die. For those who haven't, who are those so-called, for me, the one who will be born again. Who is that?
A fragment of your consciousness.
It has no personality and it has no memory. There is only a configuration. There's a configuration of a flash drive. One flash drive looks like a toy car, another like a keychain, another is just a small rectangle. She recorded information onto it, then erased it and sold it. It's the same thing. That's what a fragment of consciousness is. While it's here, while it's connected to all of this, well, it's kind of mine, but in reality, it's just on loan. With me, right here with me. And when this falls apart, the energy falls apart, the memory gets reset somewhere. Well, it's like a formatted flash drive, yeah. Maybe. Perhaps it could potentially be used again. Mine specifically. Because after all, it's unlikely that I'll break it to the point of being unusable. But in most cases, people, by using this fragment, end up breaking it completely. That is, not even a fragment remains of them, only a little black crystallized dot is left. That is, even the consciousness they borrow, so to speak, they end up dragging with them to the grave. That's the harsh reality. And until you see it for yourself, you can argue as much as you want. I even argued with Ashan, fought with him to the bitter end. I said, look, in the Mahanirvana Tantra, on this page, this phrase is written, it's about reincarnation. He just said, that's it, go practice. And then I saw it. And all my illusions immediately fell away. And my motivation instantly increased tenfold. Because when you live with the mindset of, all right, I'll finish it in my next life, you just die and that's it. At the moment of death, you'll be surprised to find out there won't be a next one. But when you live with the mindset that you only live once, well, then you can actually lay claim to something. Something is much more likely to work out, because there won't be anything after this.
Anton, I wish you the complete fulfillment of your intentions, especially your most important intention. Thank you for sharing such profound knowledge.
Take care.